Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. We'll be learning about equivalent expressions and you will be able to do 2.8. Today students will be able to identify equivalent expressions and create equivalent expressions. So you're going to be able to identify them and create them. And so in here it says, circle those that are equivalent to the given expression. And so they're giving us an expression and then they're giving us options to see which ones are equivalent. And sometimes I can go from the given expression to the answer, but other times we will have to simplify the given answers or the possible answers to check with the given expression. In this case, I can just use distributive property and I get 5 times 3x is 15x, and 5 times negative 4y is negative 20y. And so all of these seem to be simplified. I cannot do anything else with them. So the only one that goes with that answer is letter B. For letter A, don't get confused, both are x, okay? For letter C and D, they do not distribute with the y. And here they added instead of multiplying. Number 2, it says which one are equivalent, and I think I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit in here. Let me write this expression that they gave us in here, 3x squared minus 18y squared, because I cannot keep it in here. So that's what we need to compare to, okay? Now I have all of them in camera. Okay, so which ones of A, B, C, D, E are equivalent to 3x squared minus 18y squared? So what I can do is check each of the answers. And so in here we have 3x squared. 3 times negative 9 is negative 27y squared. No, that's not the same, so A is not equivalent. For this one, it's already simplified. I cannot factor it to make it look into this one, so that already, like, I can say no, it's not an answer. So for this one, I can either multiply these times this first, or notice that this is a perfect square, that this is a difference of square. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to carry the greatest common factor, or the 3. And then I notice that I have plus and minus. So all I have to do is create one factor, but I'll show you the work so that you can see that that's true. And just say, oh, this is x times x squared. And because we have one positive and one negative, that means that we're going to have a difference of perfect squares. 3y times 3y is 9y squared. Then I do distributive property in here. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 9 is negative 27y squared. So again, that's not an answer either. For letter D, what I can do is look for the greatest common factor and simplify. And I notice that the greatest common factor for all 3 of them is 2x. So I put 2x, let me separate those, 2x and 2x in the denominator. I open my parentheses, and then this is just times 1 basically. And in here, 6 divided by 2 is 3. X cubed divided by x is x squared. The negative divided by positive is negative. 36 divided by 2 is 18. X divided by x is 1, so we don't put it, and just bring over the y squared. This greatest common factor cancels, and 3x squared minus 18y squared divided by 1 is just 3x squared minus 18y squared. So we notice that those are equal to each other, and so this is an answer, okay? So you can circle the whole expression, or circle the letter D. For the last one, we're going to use distributive property. And you know what? In your assignments, you will have more than one answer. So let me change it so that you have another answer. Okay, so you use distributive property. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 6y squared is negative 18y squared. And again, we notice that these are equal? Yeah, because you made it. But yes, you might have more than one answer. In your assignment, you might have more than one answer. That's why I changed it so that you know for sure you need to look out to see if there is more answers that match or that are equivalent, okay? For the next one, it says create at least 3 unique expressions equivalent to the following. And the first thing that you want to see is, can they be factored? Okay, so in here, 1 times 8 is 8 and 1 plus 8 is 9. So another way of rewriting this is by having it factored as x plus 1, x plus 8. So that's one way. Let's put it as A. Another way is that you can make it into a fraction. Whenever you have a number or even a fraction, for example, if you have 2/3 and you multiply by 5 and by 5, you're not changing the fraction. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 10/15 is exactly the same as 2/3. And we're going to do something similar in here, but the denominator, we don't have a denominator, is like having a 1 in there. So let's say, and you can do with this with any factor. Let's say that I want to multiply this over 1 times x and times x. So that gives us x times x squared is going to be x cubed. X times 9x is 9x squared, and 8 times x is 8x. But at the same time, I have to multiply the 1 times x, and 1 times x is just x. So that's another way of rewriting the same expression, by multiplying by 1, because x divided by x is 1, right? We're not changing the initial expression because we're multiplying by 1. X divided by x, 1. And I can only think of another one by doing the same thing. We can just multiply, but instead of x over x, we can just multiply by 8 over 8, for example. And so 8 times x squared is 8x squared. 8 times 9x is 72x. 8 times 8 is 64, divided by 8 times 1, 8. So those are 3 equivalent expressions of what they gave us, okay? For number 4, one of the ways that I can think of to rewrite it is as separating each one with the pretzel. And so x divided by 3 is x thirds, plus 2 divided by 3 is 2/3. That's one way. A different way will be by multiplying by any 1, because this is divided by itself, it's 1, and just multiply each term, okay? So 2x times x, and you can use whichever, basically. These are going to vary for all of you. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x, divided by 2x times 3 will be 6x. And a third one, let's just multiply by 4, maybe. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 3 is 12. So those are all equivalent to this expression. For number 5, we can factor out the greatest common factor or just find different factors. Okay, so for example, I can, instead of using the greatest common factor, which would be 4x to the second power, I can just say, I'll just factor 4. And 4x squared divided by 4 is x squared. Negative 8, well, negative divided by positive is negative. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And you just bring down x to the 5th. That will be one possibility. Maybe I do want to include the whole greatest common factor. So for the number, it would be 4. For the variables, it would be x squared. And so I start 4x squared divided by 4x squared is 1, minus 8 divided by 4 is 2. X to the 5th divided by x squared is x cubed. And those will be your 2 factors. Or maybe you can do just part of it. Let's say that you want to do only 2x. And you do 4x squared divided by 2x is 2x. Negative divided by positive is negative. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And x to the 5th divided by x is x to the 4th power. So those are three possible equivalent expressions to that. And of course, you can create more, right? You can just create it with the x squared, or just x by itself and start dividing. Or you can multiply by x over x squared. Multiply, and let's do that one. And put it over 1. So x squared times 4x squared is going to be 4x to the 4th. X squared times negative 8x to the 5th is negative 8x to the 7th over x squared times 1 is x squared. Those are also equivalent. With this, we end the lesson. If you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This is the link to the entire unit. Here you will find the next lesson, and now you're able to do 2.8 and have fun.